What's up, guys? Welcome to another trade breakdown video. You could call this or classify this as a blockbuster deal because it's a one-for-one involving two former first-round pick players, two players that had a lot of promise and still have a lot of promise, but ultimately and probably needed a change of scenery, and this is exactly what happens here. So Casey Mittelstadt gets traded from the Buffalo Sabres to the Colorado Avalanche, and Bowen Byram is a member of the Buffalo Sabres. So this is not only a blockbuster, but it's pretty much a hockey trade. It's not trading rentals. It's not trading a player for just round picks or prospects. This is a change of scenery trade, one for one. Casey Mittelstadt for Bowen Byram. So, in terms of Bowen Byram, he was drafted in the first round, fourth overall in 2019. 22 years old. I view him as an offensive defenseman, as you could see here. With his time with the Colorado Avalanche, posted up some pretty good numbers. Even if you consider the fact that he was playing behind guys like Devon Taves and Cale Makar, he was still an efficient defenseman. But going to the Buffalo Sabres, we could see his production increase a lot more. So his best season was last season, 2022-2023, 24 points in 42 games, 10 goals and 14 assists. This year, he could potentially reach the amount of points that he got last year. Having 20 points currently, 8 goals and 12 assists in a total of 55 games. He's also a Stanley Cup winner with the Colorado Avalanche, and I do believe that this solidifies Buffalo's decor. They have Rasmus Dahlin, they have Samuelson, now they have Bowen Byram, and they also have Owen Powers. So that's going to be a fantastic top four decor for years to come. And in terms of Casey Mittelstadt, well, he was playing second line minutes with the Buffalo Sabres, first round, eighth overall in 2017. He's 3 years older than Bowen Byram. His best season was last year, 59 points in 82 games, 15 goals and 44 assists. This year he's on pace to have another 50-point campaign, 14 points and 33 assists in 62 games. So, what are your initial thoughts on this deal?
I think both clubs get exactly what they want here. Like you mentioned, it's a hockey trade. It's a one for one, player for player. Bowen Byram is somebody who, Colorado drafted him as a fourth overall pick. He's always had kind of that top pairing defenseman potential, and he's molded as a really good offensive defenseman. His numbers are pretty consistent in that regard. Um, he's dealt with injuries. He's yet to play a full season, but like it says on the J Fresh scorecard that you have projected on the screen, the upside is there with him. It's worth noting that he's a player who doesn't get a lot of power play time because Colorado relies heavily on the top unit. He averages about less than a minute in power play time per game. You would expect that figure to go up if he in Buffalo. They do have Rasmus Dahlin, but I think they could maybe work as a tandem there on their power play. He's got a lot of potential still. He's still a 22-year-old defenseman who could play on both sides. He is an offensive defenseman, very capable, and like you said, they're building a trident there in Buffalo with Owen Power, who was re-signed to that massive deal last year. Rasmus Dahlin, the same thing, and now Bowen Byram. So they're young, they're sexy, and they're talented. And if you look at it from Colorado's point of things, they needed a true second line center. The Ryan Johansson move of the offseason did not work for them. Um, they acquired also Ross Colton from Tampa. He plays his part, but he's not really a reliable secondary scorer as they would have hoped for that club. And so now with this move, they're a little bit less top heavy. Casey Mittelstadt is an excellent two-way center who's been productive for the better part of the past 3 seasons. So it looks like a move where both teams get what they wanted and they get two young players that they could build with here.
Yeah, and just adding to that, so Jay Fresh says that he's a playmaking two-way forward, often a center, um, but absolutely electric passing metrics in 2022, 2023, and good ones so far this season. Not the fastest or most physical player, but controls the puck very well. And they've had a hard time replacing Nazem Kadri after that cup run. They tried it with Evan Rodriguez, like you mentioned before. Ryan Johansson didn't work out. He got traded as well today, which we'll talk in a separate video. Um, so now Casey Mittelstadt is centering that second line, potentially with Jonathan Drouin and Zach Parise. There's also, speculation that Gabriel Landeskog is going to be ready come playoff time, so I could potentially see him playing alongside Casey Mittelstadt. Um, you know, they fulfill the need, and him being 25 years old, another young player who I think is gonna hit strides with the Colorado Avalanche. Such an offensive-minded team, and for Middlestat to put up the points that he has been with, a weaker Buffalo Sabres team, and like, look, they're very offensive. Like they have guys like Tage Thompson, Kyle Poso, Jeff Skinner, and the list goes on. But obviously, like Buffalo's been underwhelming these last 2 years, and just taking a look at um, the Buffalo Sabres here, and in terms of Casey Mittelstadt's contract, he's going to be an RFA at the end of this year, $2.5 million, and there were so many rumors surrounding him being traded leading up to trade deadline week. So it's no surprise for me that Middlestat gets traded. And in terms of Bowen Byram, you know, he's very young, and I see him as a top two offensive defenseman. And until he would stay with the Colorado Avalanche, he would always be behind Devon Taves and Cale Makar. So him going to Buffalo opens up that opportunity for him to be in that top four, and most likely even in a top two role. And I honestly think that it works out for both teams. And in terms of looking at uh, Bowen Byram's contract, just gonna, yeah, right here. So looking at it here, he has an extra year after this year. So his contract finishes in 2025, 2026, where he's going to be an RFA, and he is 3 years younger, like I was alluding to before. He could play both left and right D. And in terms of where he was playing with the Colorado Avalanche, yeah, he was a third pairing defenseman. So like it's not ideal for a young kid with so
Yeah.
much talent, especially being drafted in the top 10 in his respected draft year. So going to the Buffalo Sabres, Samuelson is injured for the rest of the year. He's definitely going to be playing on that top pairing, or at best second. At worst, sorry, second pairing with Owen Power. So he's definitely going to slot into that top four. So I think it works for both teams. I think this is a great trade. Um, and I love seeing hockey trades like this, because we could, it's so early to tell, but I think this is a trade that we're gonna look back in a couple of years and be like, wow, both teams got exactly what they wanted, and it helps set them up for future success. So, do you have anything else to add in terms of this trade?
Yeah, well, look, I'm surprised that a deal like this happens at the trade deadline and not right as the off season began. I know Casey Middlestaff is, like you mentioned, he's an RFA this summer. So by Colorado getting the deal done to acquire him, it kind of leads us to believe that the extension is coming soon. Um, it wasn't a sign and trade situation, but I would like to think the extension is coming soon, and just the way Buffalo allocates their cap. Dylan Cousins is signed to a long term deal. Skinner is still on his deal. Tage Thompson is on a heavy deal. Yes, they have their two defensemen who are on heavy deals, but they're adding a guy in Bowen Byram, who they have they have 2 years left on his contract where they could decide where they are with him. So it gives them more flexibility in terms of managing the cap, having that extra year versus what Mittelstadt had. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to add that perspective on the trade, and in terms of who Bowen Byram could be paired up with, I would assume it would be with Owen Power, um, just because Rasmus Dahlin is a player who likes to take a lot of freedom in the offensive zone. Bowen Byram is very similar that way, so I don't know if they could necessarily complement each other. I could be wrong though. I see
Yeah.
Bowen Byram being on the right side of maybe Owen Power, and maybe and that's how their outlook is going to be
I,
on their
I
on their blue line.
ideally when they have a healthy roster or a healthy blue line in this case, I have Darlene with Samuelson. That's been a pairing that they've
Yes,
been
exactly.
rolling with for a while, and then second pairing would be Byram and Power. Yeah, it is a very young second defensive pairing, but hey, the Buffalo Sabres are a very young team. They are loaded with young talent in terms of their organization, from their prospects to players that are currently on their roster right now. Um, they just have to find a way to put it all together and
Get the
be and play,
goaltending.
yeah, and get goaltending too and play consistent hockey. I mean, they have Devon Levy, but it takes a while to develop goalies, and they're just not there yet. But I do see them being a very dangerous years for years to come. In Colorado, once again making a serious push to go on a deep playoff run, and we'll be discussing their next move in our next video. But guys, we'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this 1-for-1 deal? Byram going to the Buffalo Sabres and Mittelstadt going to the Colorado Avalanche. We'd like to hear from both respective fan bases and everyone else as well. Make sure to comment in the comment section below. Like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Young Guns Podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.